Hi, I'm Peter Capaldi. I play the Doctor, and you're watching EMS Productions.
So, Jodie Whittaker is the 13th Doctor, and I am really excited about it. Yes guys, welcome along to today's video where I'm just going to be giving you guys my quick thoughts and feelings on the casting of the 13th Doctor, of course, Jodie Whittaker, who I think is an absolutely fantastic choice, but here's why. So Jodie kind of came up out of nowhere in the last sort of 2 or 3 days. She suddenly jumped to being the favourite for the show, so clearly it must have sort of leaked somewhere and somebody started betting on it or something like that. But certainly once I saw the list, or I looked on Thursday or Friday at what the list of the favourites to become the 12th, 13th even Doctor were, Jodie was absolutely my #1 choice at that point, because I'd seen her in Broadchurch in particular, where she's absolutely fantastic portraying the sort of distraught mother that she has to portray as Beth, who has her son killed in the first episode. It's definitely, I'd recommend, I won't say anything more about it, but I'd recommend checking out Broadchurch if you haven't already to see Jodie Whittaker as an actress, because she is absolutely brilliant in that as throughout it. Certainly the series is phenomenal as well. It's got the link with Chris Chibnall being the writer, so that's another reason to go and watch it. So if you haven't already, I'd highly recommend going to check that one out. But also, not just Broadchurch sort of put me more towards her. I saw a little clip from something called Antigone, which I never really heard of, but was a sort of a theatre performance that Jodie Whittaker had done. I'll put a link to the description of this little clip that I saw, and it just really felt like the Doctor. The way she was doing it, just kind of that real sort of gravitas, serious, kind of almost as if she was kind of lecturing the enemy in a Doctor Who episode, like we've seen sort of Capaldi speeches. It just felt like she really pulls off that element of it really well, and I think that's going to really come across in her Doctor character in the year to come. So yes, I just think this was the right choice, the best choice from what sort of had come up at the time. Certainly if we'd gone for someone like Chris Marshall, that would have been a very boring choice as far as I'm concerned. He was the favourite from the very beginning, like February time. He was pretty much the day after Capaldi announced he was leaving. He was the guy who was going to be supposedly going to take over. So it was quite nice that it wasn't him, because it was just another white male, a fairly generic one. And now obviously this is where the issue comes up, because of course she is a woman. Now I think more than anything else, this is clearly the sticking point for a lot of people, the fact that it is a female playing the Doctor and not a male anymore, that we've seen for the last 54 years. So it is a significant change. As far as I'm concerned, this is probably the biggest change in the show's history since probably 1966, and the first time the Doctor was generated, when suddenly this concept of someone else playing the lead character, the Doctor, that was a huge change at the time, and I don't think we've had anything that quite rivaled that change up until now. So I can understand why some people may be a little bit sort of nervous and anxious to see how it's actually going to pan out, because it is such a significant change to the show. But I don't agree with the people who believe that it was just done because of political correctness, just for box ticking and all this kind of thing, different phrases people are using. I think I mean, looking at what Chris Chibnall said, he has said that from the very beginning he wanted to cast a female Doctor. That was his vision for the show, was to bring in a female Doctor for the first time. So clearly that was Chris Chibnall's vision. It wasn't just sort of the BBC saying, we want you to cast a female Doctor because it looks good for us, sort of thing. It doesn't appear to be like that. All we can do is take what he says, because we don't know. People are saying, oh, clearly it must be that, but you don't know as much as I don't know that it's not, sort of thing. No one knows either way. But I think it seems unlikely that BBC would be that sort of desperate with the show to just go and chuck a woman in just to please a certain section of the fans. And clearly it's been a very divisive choice anyway, so it has at least got people talking. But I just don't feel that that was the reason the casting was done. You can see the logic behind having her as the Doctor. It just seems sort of like she really will fit the role so brilliantly. And you also look back over these last 2 or 3 years, and it's really been set up in the show, even throughout the Moffat era probably, right from Moffat's first scene with the 11th Doctor at the very beginning when he regenerates, sort of saying, am I a girl? No, I'm not a girl. Just indicating that that is a possibility there straight away. Then doing the whole Master turning into Missy, going female there. That didn't seem to have quite such a backlash that we saw from this one. I don't know whether that's maybe just because this is the main character for the show now rather than just a sort of side villain and enemy, but it's all been set up. It's all been made clear that it's a thing that happens. And when you look back at it, the signs really were there in the finale for Series 10, World Enough in Time and The Doctor Falls, where we got the little lines about the Doctor saying, sort of, I'm a Time Lord, gender's sort of a bit less relevant for them. And then obviously the line to the Master, or the Master saying, is the future going to be all girl? We can only hope, I think was the phrase. So just little lines that maybe Moffat knew at that stage and was able to just slot in a couple of little hints and lines. But it does just feel like it has been set up to happen now. And I think the argument is just, why should the Doctor not be played by a woman? I think it's something, if you do think this way, please do let me know in the comments below. Yes, it's been a male character the whole 54 years, but it's an alien. They're time lords. There's no reason it's been set out that you can change gender, so there's no real reason on that side of thing other than your argument of it's always been a man. Well, then it's time for a change. Let's have something different. I think it's the way forward. So do let me know what your thoughts are in the comments below. I'd love to hear. I know it's been a seriously divisive issue, and I think it will continue to be, even probably throughout her tenure as the Doctor. I don't think it's ever going to be completely sort of well received. I mean, no Doctor is, but I think it's going to be more divisive than ever, the show now. But in some ways, that is a good thing. It's certainly got people talking about the show more. This has been the most talked about. Probably the show's been in a good like probably since the day of the Doctor is probably the last time there was the most press and coverage around the show. So on that side of things, it's worked quite well, but I don't think it was done as stunt casting purely for that purpose. It's just been the sort of fact that it is a woman that's going to get people talking. And I think the other really important thing will be how the 13th Doctor is written. That is absolutely crucial, because yes, you can have all these criticisms about it being PC, about box ticking, all that kind of things, but is it going to be rammed down our throats? That was somewhat of an issue with Bill. You would have seen, if you sort of picked up on it in Series 10, it did feel like every other episode she's going sort of like, hi, I'm gay, just to remind you, yeah, we already knew that sort of thing. It was like, it just felt they were sort of overdoing it with the amount of times it was mentioned. So I think it's not got in. Make sure it's not a gimmick of the show. It's got to just be, this is still the Doctor. Yes, it's a woman now, but that doesn't need to make any difference to the character. So I think it's important that they don't sort of overplay that too much and try and sort of keep going, oh look, it's a woman, oh it's a woman, oh you're a woman now, ah, kind of thing. Just sort of move past that. Yes, in the first episode you can have a little bit of a joke and a laugh about it, then past there I think you just focus on she's the Doctor and leave it at that. But I have confidence in Chris Chibnall that he's going to be able to do that, because he has written some really phenomenal female characters throughout the 3 series of Broadchurch. He's done such a good job of that. So that's about my thoughts on it. I think this is good news for Doctor Who. It's going to get, it feels like next year really will be an absolute complete reboot of the show. We're going to have our first ever female Doctor, so a completely new Doctor, potentially a male companion to go along with that, which will be something fairly new for the show, along with the whole sort of fresh new titles, logo, music, setting, TARDIS, everything. It's going to be a proper refresh and a reboot for the show, which I think is what it needs at this stage. The viewing figures are lagging a bit, and certainly I'm pretty confident that this will push the viewing figures up, even if there's some more negative comments about the show, shall we say. So there we go, guys. Do let me know. I want to hear from you guys. What do you think about this cast in the comments below? I'd love to hear all your opinions, even if you're hating it. The only thing I would say is give it a chance. I know some people have said, bam, I'm never watching the show again, but it feels like if you are really a big fan of the show, you will stick with it through thick and thin, no matter what you sort of feel about your opinions of the show and how you feel about the decisions taken. It just feels like, stick with it, give it a go, see what it's going to be like. We've seen none of her on screen. All you're basing it on is her gender, that she's a woman. That's all you're basing your opinion on. You're basing nothing on the actual performance of the actress in the episodes. So I think at least wait until we see her on screen before you really judge her. But there we go, guys. Thank you very much for watching this video. Do let me know in the comments below what you think. Remember to like this video, subscribe if you're new here, and I will see you again very, very soon for another video. Goodbye!